How's it going, everybody? My cup of tea here, back in a reaction video. Today, we're gonna continue watching some more Pokemon videos. Yay, yay. We're back to continue watching some more every Pokemon type explained by Lockstin Gnoggin. But this time, we're about to learn about fighting type Pokemon, which is probably my most, downplayed Pokemon of all time, because whenever I see a fighting type Pokemon, I usually downplay them. But that's the bad thing, because they're probably the scariest for me because they can crit you. I mean, all Pokemon can crit you, but fighting type Pokemon, I feel they have the most crit based moves. And even though I'm oh, okay, I'm not really weak to this Pokemon. If I have a fire type Pokemon or a grass type Pokemon, I'm alright, I'm not weak to a fighting type, I'll be fine. And then they hit me, and I just see my health just go down, 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 close to the red. I'm what happened? I see a crit pop up. I'm scared. But even though I downplay fighting types, I should probably stop because they are scary. And I don't want to die to them in my Nuzlocke run. But let's see how he explains the fighting type Pokemon, because I feel that's pretty self-explanatory, fighting type Pokemon. Unlike the dark type and kind of not ground, but rock maybe? I don't know. But let's see what's going on.
Alright, we finally made it to the fighting type in our animal fighting simulator.
Yeah.
So if fighting type exists, does that mean that the other types don't naturally fight? Well, ethics aside, we're here to figure out which Pokemon should and really shouldn't be fighting type, as well as explain why each fighting type Pokemon is, well, fighting type. So first things first, we all know a lot of Pokemon that are fighting type fit that typing pretty well, or at least, all of them fight.
Oh, don't want to
It's in their blood. In fact, all Pokemon fight, save a few special snowflakes over here.
That's right.
And no, I'm not talking about Cryogonal. First off, let's go over Pokemon whose typing fits rather well. And as always, I'm going to split up this because, good God, there are too many Pokemon these days. And with all Pokemon battling, I think the word fighting really starts to lose its meaning. So what is the fighting type exactly? Well, it is assumed that the Pokemon in question either fight similarly to human fighting techniques, or the Pokemon's moves are the basis of martial arts or fighting styles humans use in the Pokemon world. Coming from the Japanese translation of the type Kakuto, or fighting fist, we can infer that it means the Pokemon battle in a human or humanoid way. And we all know that learning a fighting technique takes a lot of discipline and training. But some Pokemon in this fighting type really are just strong, but overall don't really follow a form or style of fighting. So, let's get down to business. Find out who are not fighting types, or, they actually are. Not saying they, because obviously, don't be stupid. Just which ones shouldn't be, and why are the ones that are that way.
I'm here for it.
Our first set of Mons are Pokemon whose fighting styles most closely resemble those from the Far East, the lands of China, Japan, Indonesia, and the surrounding area. This group of Pokemon includes Hitmonlee, Makuhita, Hariyama, Mienfoo, Mienshao, Sock, Throh, Meditite, Medicham, Marshadow, Monferno, Infernape, Ignite, and Emboar. Oh, Hitmonlee, our favorite Dalzim impersonator, based around kicks that have its legs extend because they're spins, apparently. It's apparent that this guy follows the teachings of Taekwondo. It's even in his name. Hitmonlee is based off of Bruce Lee, a famous martial artist and actor known for his kicks. And this referential name extends even to its Japanese name of Sawamura, named after the Japanese kickboxer Tadashi Sawamura, who was pretty much the first mainstream kickboxer in Japan. No other Pokemon really follows the strict rules of Taekwondo, although many of them do still kick, as there are quite a few that can learn Jump Kick, High Jump Kick, and so on. But let it be known that Hitmonlee is the master. Mienfoo and Mienshao are small, weasel-like creatures that use elegant moves and quick movements that burst into a fury of blows. While Mienfoo's style and stance are that of a generic kung fu fighter, Mienshao's use of whips and shukshu, the long sleeve-like fur on its arms, gives off a
we're getting rid of captions. What was
a general feeling of kung fu as well, but it also adds elements of Taekwondo. And I know, I just said that Hitmonlee was the only one, and that's still kind of true. A lot of these Pokemon bleed into each other's turf in terms of style, and that's because there are only 43 fighting type moves and 57 fighting type Pokemon. so they
only
got
43?
obviously.
Oh wow.
Next
okay.
up are Makuhita and Hariyama. These two heavyweights
more fighting
love
moves.
to bust numbskulls with their powerful punches, and they can really take a beating. I'm sure you guessed what fighting style they're based off of, and yeah, it's kickboxing.
What?
No, it's sumo wrestling.
I'm about to,
in fact,
don't do that to me.
Odd misspellings of Makushita, the third highest division in sumo wrestling, and Makuuchi being the highest rank. Sock and Throw, whom I named Sock and Right Sock respectively in my playthrough, are two odd fellows. I mean, they just wear full-on clothes. Where they find perfectly Pokemon-sized gis beats me. In fact, that might be a video idea. Ooh, I gotta write that one down real quick. Where the heck do Pokemon get their clothes? I mean, it's probably been done before, but, you know, originality is dead. Back to the duo.
Yeah, we don't do that
Despite their
anymore.
similarities in looks, they are quite different in terms of fighting styles. Throw, as you guessed, likes to throw things, and thus his fighting style is based off of judo.
Judo,
He
not
enjoys, needs to toss opponents larger
He needs
than
to toss people.
Sock, on the other hand, uses his hands to punch things in a karate style, because
no, Aikido I think is more joints. Like I think there's throws. Yeah, there's throws in Aikido, but it's more joint based. Judo is just weight. You use your opponent's weight to throw them to. That's right. I think that's the difference between judo and Aikido. Yeah. More joint locks and joint. Not submissions. I mean, you can do submissions too in Aikido. That's what
he uses. Karate. Their one goal in life is to create the greatest karate chop in the world. That's why they live alone in the forest. So they can punch trees. Next up are Medidite and Medicham. Now, unlike other fighting type Pokemon, these creatures don't necessarily follow a strict fighting technique per se, but they are still fighting type for a good reason. Why is that, you ask?
Yeah, please
well,
explain.
They are based off of yoga. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yoga's not a martial art. And you're right. What yoga is a complex stretching workout. And in some cultures, yoga is used to elevate your inner strength. Through intense meditation, someone would be able to achieve a higher understanding, which they would be able to use to see what their opponents would do before they do them, which is just pretty much the Pokemon move Foresight, which both of these can learn. Medicham is said to have thorough yoga training. It gained the psychic power to predict its foe's next move, and it elegantly avoids attacks with dance-like steps, then launches a devastating blow in the same motion. While these may not actually be true fighting styles in terms of prowess, in finesse they clearly show the ability to battle it out. Also, a psychic fighting type is a really strong combo.
Yeah, that's
at least
really
in terms
strong,
of offense. And if you had to link them to a fighting style, I would say they most closely resemble the various fighting styles used by Shaolin monks.
I keep thinking Tai-Chi.
Monkeying around as always is Monfer. The various fighting styles used by Shaolin.
Oh, Shaolin Showdown. I get it. I need to watch that show again.
Monks. Monkeying around as always is Monferno and Infernape. But instead of just monkeying around, these simians seem to be skilled in fighting. But more relevantly, they are based off of monkey kung fu. You know, that thing from Kung Fu Panda. Kung fu fighting like monkeys. It's pretty simple. And
makes sense.
You'd be a tad wrong. You see, there are quite a number of fighting styles that incorporate monkey style, as to say, using all of your limbs, like a tail. Infernape's fighting style, judging by its design, is more based off of Sun Wukong's mythic fighting style, the Monkey King. But it could also be based off of Crazy Monkey Defense, which is a boxing style that shares elements with Muay Thai, which is also known as the Art of 8 Limbs, based off of the use of fists along with elbows, knees, and shins. A lot of limbs coming at you all at once. Other starters on the eastern side of things are Pignite and Embor. Similarly to Infernape's line, Embor and company are based off of Chinese myth. Using the tale of the journey to the west, they seem to be based off of the pig demon, Zhu Baji.
Wait, what? They're based off of... Because we watched the Overly Sarcastic Productions review on or covered the Journey to the West series. These based off the Pixie? No, I did not know that.
Myth. Using the tale of the journey to the west, they seem to be based off of the pig demon, Zhu Baji. Many characteristics from this character can be seen in Embor, like, as the Pokédex states, it cares deeply for its friends. Also, he's a pig. That kinda gives it away. But unfortunately, there isn't much information about how they fight. They do have design elements that resemble a wrestling singlet or suit, and Embor could be seen as a mix of Greek and Chinese designs. Chinese wrestling, or Shuai Jiao, does share similarities with a boar. The main idea is to knock the opponent down, In fact, it was so popular that some armies are said to have used it during combat in the past, rushing into combat and charging the enemy with horned helmets much like a boar or a bull. And finally, in this group of Eastern fighting styles is Marshadow. You wouldn't think it, but he's fighting type. In fact, he's the only ghost fighting Pokemon. How a ghost can punch.
Wait, because I thought with ghosts, no, it's normal moves can't hurt ghosts. Like they're like immune to it. Like normal moves can't hurt ghosts, and ghost moves can't hurt normal Pokemon. I believe. Was that the same with fighting? Because fighting is How does that work with fighting types? I forgot. He's gonna explain it to me, but how does that work? That's good, right? Because I don't think ghosts. No. Crap, hold on, play it.
Think it, but he's fighting type. In fact, he's the only ghost fighting Pokemon. How a ghost can punch you, I don't know. But he can, so you better watch out. Especially when he shifts into
Maximum Overdrive! Hey-ya!
Zenith mode. Based off of Hawaiian night marchers, shadowy figures of deceased warriors that march from dusk till dawn, they were composed of many different types of warriors, but most commonly they trained in the art of Kapu Kuialua, a form of Hawaiian hand-to-hand combat that was also used by many Pacific Islanders from all over the Pacific Islands. The general principle of this fighting style is focused on bone breaking and other techniques that include open water warfare.
The bone breaking ghost?
Because, you know, the Pacific Islanders are kinda on islands. Surrounded by water. Marshadow could also be based off of the idea of shadow boxing, a technique where one practices fighting using their shadow as a guide on how their form works. And I think that does it for the true Eastern fighting styles.
Not too bad. Everything makes sense, kind of, except for the shadow ghost, the ghost one. I can see it. All right, let's see how crazy this gets. The next group,
let's go to the other side of the world. The Boxers of the West.
Hey.
Think of Mike Tyson for a minute. Then imagine him as a humongous Pokemon with 4 arms.
Game of Champ.
Yeah, you're terrified now, but
I am very
terrified. Perfectly with these guys. So, I guess he could be tamed by a 10-year-old with the power of friendship. And that's all he truly wanted, wasn't it? I'm getting sidetracked. Back to the Pokemon. This group includes Tyrogue, Hitmonchan, Machop, Machoke, Machamp, Gallade, Hawlucha, Crabrawler, and Crabominable. I'm just Machop, Machoke, Machamp, Gallade, Hawlucha, Crabrawler,
Crabrawler? Alright.
And Crabominable. I'm just gonna start with the easy ones here. Tyrogue and Hitmonchan. Like Hitmonlee, they are based off of famous fighters. Or at least Hitmonchan is. Get out of here, Tyrogue. While Hitmonchan's name is based off of Jackie Chan, famous Asian martial artist and movie star, his moves and style seem to say something else. In fact, his focus on punching, along with, you know, the boxing gloves and the boxing outfit, kind of give away his style quite quickly.
Right.
That is to say, he's a boxer. He even only fights in 3-minute intervals. The same as tournament boxing rules.
Really? Hold on, wait. Captains, go away. Hold on, wait a minute.
Boxer. He even only fights in...
I can't see. Okay, time is blocking. Twisting punches it throws, pulverized even concrete. Dang. And rest after 3 minutes of... Oh yeah, you're straight up a boxer.
The same as tournament boxing rules. And similarly to Hitmonlee, his name in Japanese is based off of a famous Japanese boxer, Hiroyuki Ebihara. Tyrogue is more of a mystery here. Being a baby Pokemon, it hasn't had much time to figure out what it wants to do in its life. I know, buddy. I know.
You getting ready to sprawl like
while you're still young and inexperienced, you're expected to know what you want to do until you die? Life's rough. But his stance is all too classic. You see, way back, and I'm talking way back, the Greeks loved to fight, but not hurt each other, because they all loved each other. Everyone. And they just wanted to see who was best without actually causing a ton of harm. So they made a whole series of sports out of this, and that was called the Olympics. One of the oldest forms of fighting in the Olympics was Greco-Roman wrestling, a mixture of both Greek and Roman forms of wrestling, but with rules to make it even more of a challenge, like disallowing grabs from below the belt, rendering trips non-legal. Let's take a look at the modern Greco wrestler. We can see his starting stance, and now let's put that right next to Tyrogue's official
wrestling stance.
See the similarities? But Tyrogue is a bit of a jack of all trades here, as he can evolve into 3 different fighting styles depending on his stats at the time of evolving.
On top,
I want a Pokemon like that. Next, we have the Machop, Machoke, and Machamp line. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Lockstin, they're based off of bodybuilders. Show muscles are rarely useful. And you're right, it's all about that core strength. But just like with superheroes, the Pokemon world also disagrees with you. It states that Machop loves to build its muscles, and it trains in all styles of martial arts to become even stronger. And then for Machamp, it states that Machamp is known as the Pokemon that has mastered every kind of martial art.
Every
I'd
kind?
like to say that this very well may be the best fighting type Pokemon there is.
Yeah, it should
Hands
be.
down. All 4 of them. And I'm not just saying that because the Pokedex may agree with me, because as it turns out, Machamp is way overpowered in the Pokedex entries. He is the superpower Pokemon after all. It's stated that he can punch people way over the horizon, and punch over 1,000 times in 2 seconds. And even before it evolves, its muscles are harder than steel. Man. First gen Pokemon are crazy.
Yeah, he should be like one of the like, if we're using Pokédex logic, he should be the best Pokemon fighting type ever. He should be, but I feel it's gonna get crazier.
Hawlucha, the Pokemon I thought was going to take Ash to the top, but he let me down. Anyway, Hawlucha is based off of a hawk fighting like a luchador. You know, flying presses and such. Luchadors hail from Mexico. Well,
okay, sorry.
Authentic ones do. They practice lucha libre, which basically means free fight or free-for-all. There are not very many rules in this fighting style, at least not compared to Greco wrestling, though this wrestling is much more fantastic to watch, with many entertainers becoming luchadors. While the sport has garnered more flair and pizzazz, we can see that Hawlucha uses this fantastical flying fighting technique.
I like luchadors. Rey Mysterio, Penta. I'm talking about WWE now. I'm in my WWE era back again. But Penta, Rey Phoenix, Penta's brother. And I think WWE signed they signed a deal, or they got basically the AAA, which is like the Lucha Libre wrestling side of things. I think it's big. It's like the biggest one in Lucha Libre wrestling is AAA. They signed that, so we'll see what happens there. Or they signed them. I don't know. They did something with the signing, but yeah. More luchadors.
With more flair and pizzazz, we can see that Hawlucha uses this fantastical flying fighting technique. The Pokedex even states that it overwhelms opponents with quick moves, but sometimes it showboats for too long when using a special move. And
we love showboating. We love showboating here.
Speaking of pinch, next we have Crabrawler. I know what
that's a good segue.
Shouldn't he be in the next category, the Brawler category? Wait, how would you have even known that?
I did.
Well, now you're thinking it because I told you about the next category, so... well, you'd be wrong. You see, Crabrawler loves to fight by punching repeatedly with its boxing glove-like claws.
Okay.
Something we've seen before with Hitmonchan. And in fact, the Pokedex references the fights between Crabrawlers as boxing matches. And it seems that Crabominable, a Pokemon that I almost forgot about in this video because I hate it, it continues to use its large claws as boxing gloves.
Why do you hate it?
Except now they are hairy and have stupid paw prints. Well, I'm done with that Pokemon now, thank God.
He looks stupid too.
Never have to touch it again until the Ice-type video. And finally, we have Gallade. At first, I was considering putting him into the Eastern section, as he practically uses Tonfas, a weapon normally used with Okinawan martial arts, with origins being around Southeast China. But the Pokedex loves to toy with me here. It specifically states that it fights using its elbows as swords. And what style uses short swords, especially gallantly? Well, in general, the European military of the Middle Ages. Remember, fighting back then was life or death. People just didn't faint, and they used what they had to win.
You'd never see
block their sword
that
and deliver
type
a
of
nice good
fight
punch
right there.
in their midsection, hence why light armor started to appear. In terms of why Gallade is fighting type, I would say he's based off of short sword hand-to-hand combat.
I feel
which
that.
was very much a part of European history. And you could possibly also add fencing into this, but with the swords on the elbows. So that does it for Western fighting styles.
Yeah, he strikes me more of a like, because he doesn't, when I saw the AMV, he doesn't like poke at people. He more like, slashes with his elbow blade things. So yeah, I feel the Eastern, or the Eastern Europe, like the old way of fighting, the sword slashing, that fits Glade more. It'd be cool if he had like a Tonfa Pokemon, that'd be cool. Or a Nunchuck, nah, they wouldn't use Nunchucks. And we're back!
There may be more, but those were the ones that I found while researching. And Western is quite a broad thing to say, so take it with a grain of salt. Next up are the Brawler Pokemon.
Brawlers!
These Pokemon are fighting type Pokemon who love fighting and are very good at raw, muscular output. But they don't necessarily fight in your typical, well-trained fashion. Think of these guys as your typical street brawler, eager to fight, and has the power to do so, but not much training as far as fluid talented moves go. To be honest, they may not even be fighting type, or at least shouldn't be, as they lack discipline or an art of fighting, regularly resorting to tricks or again, their raw power to win battles. These Pokemon
It's
are
straight raw power,
Pancham,
okay.
Pangoro, Timber, Girder, Conkeldurr,
Hey,
Scraggy,
Conkeldurr.
and Scrafty. So starting off
Oh,
with
please. I want to know about Scrappy so badly because it's just so funny to see this man with his pants always trying to sag. And I just want to see what...
Pancham and Pangoro, not quite what you'd expect from large bears. It seems Pancham has its fighting type due to its lifestyle of hanging out with Pangoro. In fact, Pangoro is a bad influence on the poor little dudes. Based off of Bancho, or Japanese street thug leaders, with Panchams being the impressionable youth that become juvenile delinquents, these guys fight using dirty tricks and such, earning their place in fighting type due to their street fighting style. Timber, Girder, and Conkeldurr, or just the Triple Durs as I call them, should really not be fighting type either, I suppose. Based off of Muscle Man carnies and construction workers, this trio's only real feat is being strong. It isn't until Conkeldurr that we see the truth come out. It is, in fact, that they have created their own fighting style using heavy, near their maximum lifting capabilities, objects that they swing around as weapons. The Pokedex states that rather than relying on their own force, they master moves that utilize the centrifugal force of spinning concrete.
Okay,
so
makes sense.
While a weak reason for being fighting type, they still are a bit more than what meets the eye. Scraggy and Scrafty, unlike the previous Pokemon, are scrawny guys that rely on dirty fighting much like the street gangs of the West, but without the guns or drugs. They've got saggy pants, the mohawks, the hoodies, and the general tough guy attitude. Not necessarily fighting type, but really no other typing would seem to fit these dudes. The fighting type may be based off of their names, coming from Scrappy, referring to its predisposition towards fighting.
Scrap, eh?
But don't you let their small stature fool you. Scrafty are able to break huge
No more captions. Keep locking up this stuff.
But don't you let their small stature fool you.
I saw this person need somebody in
AMV
or something.
Cinder blocks with just their kicks.
Good lord.
I guess earning themselves a spot in the fighting type category. And now, we've reached the beginning of the end of the list, so I'll try to speed things along. Final category is things I couldn't fit into other categories. In other words, other.
Oh, we just go straight other,
Here we have Pokemon that are fighting type for good reasons, but also for bad reasons.
Okay.
They're kind of mixed, but their origins are all over the place. First up is Hitmontop. He's spinning and first with his Afro-Brazilian fighting style of Capoeira.
Oh, Capoeira? Okay.
This style is very, well, stylish. It's fighting while incorporating many spins and dance maneuvers. While very much a fighting style, so Hitmontop is certainly deserving of the fighting type, this style originates from all over the place, so it could have gone into either of the other categories. It's found all over South America, Africa, and even the East, and it has since spread to becoming an aerobic workout that makes me tired just looking at it.
Interesting.
Riolu and Lucario, your favorite, are two flagship Pokemon that are quite powerful. We touched on them earlier in the Steel-type video, but their fighting style may not be what you would guess. They use Egyptian boxing. In fact, structured boxing was believed to have originated from Egypt, as it was a common pastime to watch people punch each other. Again, I could have put them into either of the first two categories, but decided that Egypt would get its own section here. Also, I just love how that works out, because Egypt loves jackals, and Lucario's a jackal thing. Furry. Now for some less obvious fighting types. Breloom is a stretchy mushroomed...
I didn't know this was a... When I was playing Pokemon with my friend, this popped up, and I was like, oh, it's just a grass Pokemon. I think he told me it was grass fighting. And I'm like, where? How does he fight? What does he fight with?
Raptor that smells bad. Also, it's a kangaroo?
It's a kangaroo what?
Kangaroo raptor?
Kangaroo.
Which is where it gets its fighting type from.
Sure.
Based off of kangaroos loosely, who do square up all the time, these massive marsupials can deliver debilitating kicks.
My stomach.
Although Breloom learns more punch moves than kick moves. In fact, its Pokedex entry states that its short arms stretch out when it throws punches.
Oh, okay.
And its technique is equal to that of pro boxers.
Lie. I don't want to believe that Pokedex entry. I don't want to believe you're the technique level of a pro boxer. I don't want to believe it. I will choose not to believe it. I'm not going to believe it.
Its fighting type easily. Heracross is based off of the rhinoceros beetle found in Japan. Very popular. These beetles will fight any other large beetle by lifting its opponent and throwing them with their horns. No small feat. Almost like a bug form of judo. And Mega Heracross keeps up with this theme, although it looks a bit more like a Hercules beetle now, which is also known for being a very heavy lifter. In fact, Japan has tournaments for these beetles where they fight in cute little arenas.
Awesome.
There are whole sets of rules and such. Combuskin, Blaziken, and Mega Blaziken.
I knew this was going to happen. I knew they would show up. I just didn't want to see them again so soon. You know, because I believe we watched a fire type video. Fire type explained. You know my reasons for Blaziken. You know I don't like him, and the fact that I got to see Mega Blaziken too, which I didn't know that was a thing. Still, let's just get through this. Let's just get through this.
Arenas, and there are
let's just get through
rules and such. Combuskin, Blaziken, and Mega Blaziken, of course, are blazing chickens based off of Taiwanese cockfighting roosters, who boast very long, strong legs, and they even stand upright and have leg feathers like Blaziken to boot. Also known as Shamo chickens in Japan, these poultry pack a powerful kick.
They do.
You thought I was gonna say punch because of all the P's, didn't you? I got you. While they aren't inherently martial artists, they do know their own form of fighting style, and that's all it really takes to be a fighting type, it seems. Also, you know, they are a fire starter Pokemon, so they had to be fighting type.
They had to be fighting type.
Others in this other category are Mega Lopunny, but just the Mega. The other, more normal form of Lopunny is just normal. Generic, you could say. It's a rabbit. But Mega Lopunny is different.
Okay.
It's taken a defense class at the local YMCA. A jazzercise self-defense class to be exact. And no, I am not kidding. Just look at their hair scrunchies. I wouldn't be surprised to see those coming straight from the 80s. But in reality, the Pokedex explains that the Mega Energy awakened some long dormant power, allowing it to use these long ears as whips. So while not necessarily a true fighting type, it seems that it has some form of style and technique in its blood. However that works. Other normal fighting types include Meloetta in her Pirouette form, based mainly off of her ability to dance fight. But we only see this form of Meloetta after it uses its signature
is that
relic
Pokemon?
song. So it must be an inner, long dormant style that it uses in its times of need. Possibly the music calms and clears its mind of thoughts to give it clarity to see the opponent's attacks. Another idea is that it is similar to Hitmontop and uses a sort of dance fighting technique, but it's not quite a true fighting type in the end, as it returns to normal, which I suppose is good, not actually being fighting type outside of battle. Anyways, back to normal Pokemon, or normal fighting type, not... Back to fighting type Pokemon. How to say that. Next up are Hakamo'o and Komo'o. They actually are interestingly complex, these two. You see, at first glance, it looks like they are just dragons with red boxing gloves. And fair, because, I mean, that's what they are. But if you dig a little deeper, you can find some more reasons why these guys are fighting type, especially Hakamo'o. If we take the name apart, we can get Haka, a type of Maori war dance. Well, honestly, it is used for more than just war, but on top of being a type of war dance from a warrior culture, the Pokedex also states that Komo'o specializes in uppercuts, a typical fighting move.
Oh, okay.
Chestnut. I had a hard time figuring out where I was gonna put Chestnut. Really, Chestnut's secondary typing could easily be Steel instead, as it is resistant to, I don't know, bombs? That's even in the Pokedex entry. It states that if it covers its face with its fists, it can withstand bombs. Who goes around and just bombs Pokemon? Does that mean there are terrorists like ISIS in the Pokemon world? Imagine the amount of Voltorbs they go through on a weekly basis. Voltorbs and C4. Chestnut is based on...
hold on, wait, that'd be terrifying. You just grab a group of Voltorbs and you just like, in your little blimp, whatever thing Team Rocket be having, or Team Aqua, whatever the evil team is of a Pokemon route is. Imagine you just had like a gaggle of Voltorbs, you just drop them from above. What do you do? What do you do against that?
Terrorists like ISIS in the Pokemon world?
That would be terrifying to watch.
Imagine the amount of Voltorbs they go through on a weekly basis. Voltorbs and C4. Chestnut is based off of a heavily armored knight, someone who is chivalrous and cares deeply for their friends, and will put itself in harm's way to save them. Also, being able to tank a bomb with just your fists seems to me like it's training its arms quite regularly. And now, while that is a weak connection, it's all I really got.
That's all is why it's fighting
type, other than it's what it needed to be for the other starters of that gen to be their respective typings. At least the fire starter wasn't fighting this time, so it's a nice change.
It casts a spell on you, like you might be fairy fighting. I don't think fairy was in this gen. I don't think it was.
Next up are some oddball Pokemon. We have the Swords of Justice.
Hey, swords!
Cobalion, Terrakion, Virizion, and Keldeo. All odd combinations of typings all over, but the fighting type is more or less a game design mechanic here, rather than actually kind of being what they are. It's complicated. In the Pokemon world, Evil uses Dark, as you learned in the last video, not Dark type.
And fighting uses good, I believe.
What's good against Evil? The Justice system, or Law, but there's no Law type, at least not yet. Besides, it would just be a bunch of Officer Jenny clones, but in different hats. Gotta catch them all.
Okay, alrighty.
Fighting is the law. The fair, the disciplined and well-trained, the just, you could say. And this quartet is adequately named the Swords of Justice, being based off of the Three Musketeers and What's-His-Face. Fighting aptly fits them. In fact, it also plays a bit into Chestnut as well.
Yeah, because he has
of justice,
yeah. That makes sense.
And while
for
not
him.
the best reason, it's a lot better than the next few Pokemon in this next category, which is still kind of the previous category. But next up, it's just the Pokemon that I don't know why these are fighting-type Pokemon. Realistically, they are just ripped and muscular looking, or they like to punch things. Some do have insane feats of power, but the reasonings just kind of fall flat onto why they're fighting-type.
In Albion, no matter where you...
I think, what other fighting-type Pokemon are there? I feel like we've seen them all, but clearly we have not, so... Yeah, I wouldn't know, but I'm just trying to think, who could it be still that we have not seen in this group? None of the Creation Trio can fight, right? Yeah, they're not fighting types, they're just scary types. They're just scary. Is there a legendary fighting type Pokemon? Probably that Komodo one. I don't know. And the Sword of Justice. Let's see.
Either that, or I happen to forget about them until the end because they're so boring. First up on the no reason fighting type list is Mega Mewtwo X. I am not sure why he's fighting type other than
did not know that was Mega.
Decent type combo,
Did
making
not
it
know,
significantly
it was
stronger than it already is. Mega Mewtwo X now boasts the highest attack stat in the game.
190.
It took all of its brain and converted it into brawn. I guess mind over matter isn't the case. And if you can just will yourself ripped, I've got some willing to do later. Another normal fighting type is the new Stuffle and Beware line. These red panda plushies are mean. That is to say, they love a good tussle.
Wait, so Earthring is normal, but Beware is a fighting type? Interesting.
Side note, personally, I think that normal fighting type goes against the normal
yeah,
typing,
that's against the rule. Oh, it's normal?
Pokemon.
Wait, it's normal too? Wait, so, okay, I know fighting type destroys normal type Pokemon. But your normal fighting, kind of like really good. Isn't that good? Because normal's only weak to fighting type. But if you're a fighting type Pokemon as well, this is to be neutral now. And again, I don't know if fighting type moves can beat ghosts Pokemon, like if it like affects them. I don't remember. I'll look that up later. That's actually, that might be a good typing. That might be great typing.
Fighting type goes against the normal typing, but that's for another video on normal type Pokemon. So I'll just focus on the fighting type for now. Deemed the most dangerous Pokemon in the Alola region by its Pokedex entry, you should definitely beware of this beast.
Oh god, run Ash!
Even the seemingly small Stuffle is able to knock out a pro wrestler with ease thanks to its strength. And according to the Pokedex, it boasts enough power to split large trees in half. That is some impressive strength. Boasts enough power.
Organ on its rear releases an odor that is uses to
split
communicate with other of its kind. Oh, you
half.
can summon an army of them.
That is some impressive strength. In fact, that's the reason for its fighting type. Well, according to Game Freak, probably. But it really shouldn't be fighting type. It's not known to have a special style or even train. It's just an angry bear that hates being touched. But it does say in its Pokedex entry that when it gets angry and flails about, its arms and legs could knock out a pro wrestler. So it mentions wrestling, so I guess that's where it gets it. I mean, if you can beat a fighter, then you must be a fighter.
I don't like that logic, no.
It's not like any other non-fighting type Pokemon are strong whatsoever. Other ripped Pokemon that don't make too much sense include Poliwrath, Mankey, Primeape, and Passimian. None of these Pokemon show any of the finesse or technique that I've been talking about.
But Primeape, you know, he like a monkey kind of, right? Ape, right there. Poliwrath, Wrath, whatever. You got big hands. You got big meaty hands.
They do have the raw power to say, but one is an overgrown tadpole and the others are just angry monkeys with fancy footwork and a rugby-playing simian. Truly a weak link in the fighting typing. But now, that's not to say they are weaklings. Poliwrath is able to turn a boulder into dust with one punch, which is why it's on the fighting type list, I guess. In fact, all of these Pokemon are just insanely strong. And I guess strength equals fighting type. Croagunk and Toxicroak are kind of oddballs as well. Why are they fighting type?
I don't know.
Well, that's a little clouded in mystery. The only thing really linking them is that they like to punch Brock all the time. After all, punching is the way they deliver their poison.
He just drags him away.
I mean, Venom. They're Venom.
They're Venom.
I watch my own videos.
I do too. I watch his videos.
They punch their opponents and deliver their toxic cocktail of death. And we all know by this point that if any Pokemon punches things, it obviously must be the fighting type.
Obviously.
It's not like any non-fighting type
Stop that. Stop showing that.
Moves.
Stop showing that.
No, sir. And finally, we get to the last two Pokemon. Or should I say Ultra Beasts? No.
Ultra Beast. Buxwell? Is Buxwell in here? He's super strong. He's ripped. Buxwell?
Because the Ultra Beasts are just Pokemon? I don't know anymore. Buzzwole and Pheromosa, two version-exclusive UBs that share many properties except look. I'm sure you can guess why Buzzwole is a fighting type. I mean, look at those. Do bugs even have biceps?
Does
well,
now.
look at that bug. It is ripped. You could even say it's swole, bruh. Based off of bodybuilders and muscle man competitors, Buzzwole gains its fighting type because of show muscles rather than raw strength muscles, yet again. Now, the one that I'm still trying to think of a reason why, even as I voice this video, is Pheromosa. Like, I don't even have a clue why it would be fighting type other than the fact that Buzzwole is fighting, and it's the other version's exclusive Pokemon to replace Buzzwole. Pheromosa is known for the ability to run at incredible speeds, upwards of 120 miles an hour, which is fast, but doesn't contribute to its fighting type.
No, it does not.
In fact, come to think of it, maybe that's the reason why. It's the flight part of the saying, fight or flight, where Buzzwole is the fight, and Pheromosa is the flight.
I don't know about that.
She's not flying type.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. She kicks with her feet, and in order to punch or kick, you have to be fighting type, right?
Right, and since she can run super fast, that must mean she must have good leg power, like good leg strength, because why not? Yeah.
No? Well, then I have no idea. These Pokemon here really shouldn't be fighting type.
I feel like Primate and Toxicroak should be fighting type. The rest, I don't know. I don't even think you. Do you punch? Does he punch? Does Poliwhirl, Rav, Polygon? Does he punch? And Buzzwole. Buzzwole should be fighting type. These three right here, bottom three should be fighting type. Everybody else, I don't know.
Or at the very least, have very weak reasons for being so. And there you have it. The reasons fighting type Pokemon should or really shouldn't be fighting type.
Okay.
So I hope you found this video interesting. We've got plenty more types to go, and we want to finish this series by the end of the year. And if you have any reasons you think I missed, let me know them down in the comments.
I have no other reasons about
Pokemon. Heck, this channel's turning into a Pokemon channel. Haha. Please watch my other stuff. It's interesting, I promise.
So in the past, he wasn't a Pokemon
as always,
channel.
at the very least, please remember to never stop using that noggin.
Because he's mainly in Pokemon channel now. Like, we are in bug type. We have to do this one later. Go back. Alright, so I just went to go look through the videos on this playlist again. We have not watched the fire type video. I don't know why I said we watched it. I guess maybe because I just assumed because I saw Blaziken and I've been mentioning how much I don't like Blaziken because of what he did in my Nuzlocke run way back when, and he's like top of my list on my hated Pokemon of all time. So I just thought we fought him. I thought we saw the video of fire type. It's because of Groudon, because I saw Groudon in the ground video, and he's also on my list of top hated Pokemon. And maybe I just saw red and then Blaziken's red. I just you know, my brain just malfunctioned right there. But yeah, Blaziken, don't like my fault, guys. But no, fun video. I did not know how many interesting fighting type Pokemon there were. Like, some of these Pokemon, more than half of them, don't really have a good case to be fighting type Pokemon. Like that what was it? That grass mushroom looking Pokemon, kangaroo reptile Pokemon looking thing. Why fighting type? Sure. There are some clear ones out there like Machamp, the Hitmonlees, that line. You know, those types of Pokemon made sense. Like the Hawk and Sock, whatever they were, like the one in the Karate Gi. That made perfect sense. After that, the other section, I'm like, okay, you're losing me now. Now you're losing me with these, or they're losing me with how they explain it and Game Freak explain it. But hey, I'm just happy that Buzzwole is fighting type. He deserves it. Buzzwole deserves it. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. But no, it's kind of weird how Game Freak determines what's the normal type Pokemon and what's a normal fighting type Pokemon, or what's considered fighting type. Because again, Urpsarang, the bear, the huge bear that Paul had in the AMV or in the anime of Diamond and Pearl, that's just a normal Pokemon. But Bewear is a fighting type, normal fighting type Pokemon. Why? They're both bears, right? They're both bears. I don't know why one's fighting type, one's normal. I don't know why. But we're gonna head out of here now. Sorry for taking so long to get back into this series. We got some more Pokemon stuff I'm gonna get into, including some Mew and Mewtwo, the comic series, and some AMVs I have planned after I get these videos out. But yeah, so hope you enjoyed my reaction, and thank you for watching. MyCupOfTea is out of here. Deuces, everybody. Pokemon. When you think you understand it, they throw some weird, crazy Game Freak logic and why they think these Pokemons are these type of typing. Like, you know, you just gotta roll with it. You just gotta roll with it at this point. Like, you just turn your brain off. Like, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. Let's go with it. Let's go with it.